Hey guys, so it's official. I've made $1 million US on Distrokid. I was waiting for this time for a little while now. It's been 11 years and finally made $1 million off of Distrokid. I'm gonna show I guess the proof. But yeah, so I guess the big thing is there's a few questions with all this, right? Because I mean, if you're an aspiring musician or just a creator in general, or maybe a fan of my music, you're wondering a few things. Number one, so does that mean that I'm rich? I'm definitely not rich. I'm definitely not rich. Life is very expensive, as you guys all know. So, I mean, yes, I've spent a lot of money on gear. I have, a lot of music gear. I was able to get down payment on this house. No, the mortgage is not paid. So what else has it been spent on? I mean, it got spent on therapy for our daughter. It got spent on, because therapy is actually pretty expensive, by the way. So yeah, so no, I'm not rich. I wish. So far I've probably made, I'm trying to count with some of the money I made through, a record deal with Ultra, through with Sony Publishing. I've probably made about maybe $2 million US. And that's like crazy to think, honestly. Life is just really expensive. I mean, when you're an artist, like the amount of money you're spending on, just spending on gear, spending on visas, spending on money when you're touring, spending on just various things, like, you're promoting yourself, all the subscriptions, all that stuff. I always thought about how it would feel to make $1 million, and it's actually like really funny to think, because like in this day and age, it's not that much when you think about it. It's, life is so expensive, rent is so expensive, mortgages are so expensive. Every time something needs to be fixed in the house, that's expensive. Our cats are expensive. Our kids are expensive. We don't have, like, because I don't work for a company. I work for myself, right? I have my own company, label. For tax purposes, I have, my own record label, and through that, I do everything. So if I want to, have health insurance, all that stuff, I'd have to pay for it myself. And a lot of times, it's always maybe better to just, I don't know, like just spend the money yourself sometimes, instead of getting insurance for dental or insurance for our cats. Sometimes, yeah, it can get expensive, for sure. I mean, like I said, gear is expensive. Like getting different computers, getting some really nice computers is expensive. Having a car is expensive. So at the end of the day, I mean, yes, you keep some of it. Yes, I don't have to work a 9 to 5. I'm super blessed for that. I mean, on some level, I am a product of my upbringing. I mean, my parents maybe until I was like 14, 15, they were like middle class, and then when we moved near Toronto, they were mostly upper middle class. And I had a space in the basement where I had my studio set up. I didn't have like a whole lot of gear or anything, but a lot of the songs that I made, some of the songs that are still streaming really, really well, you know, they were made in that basement. They weren't made like in this basement here with, you know, crazy gear and all that stuff. Sometimes like, and I love gear. I love microphones, especially. I collect microphones, and it's so easy to get sidetracked by all that stuff, by the gear that you use as a creative. Which gear you use, what, you know, you got to invest in yourself, and you got to invest in like your own knowledge. So this means, for me, it was learning everything about music production, learning everything about songwriting, becoming a decent singer. I mean, I think I'm an okay singer. I don't think I'm like an incredible singer. I've kind of slacked off lately because, you know, like I was touring for a few months now. I was just trying to take it easy, and then sometimes you get sick. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I mean, starting this year, I was sick for a month and a half. So I'm only starting now to feel a bit better. But yeah, like I think it's crazy. Like I definitely had this dream that I wanted to do this, and I wanted to accomplish you know, something in the music industry, and I feel like and like I can still get selfish, but as I've learned more about music and what it means to be an entertainer, I mean, a lot of times you have to remember that it's not so much about you as it is about other people. And like, that's been super hard for me. Like, I've literally grown up only child. I do have a brother, but we're just so many years apart, you know. We're like 15 years apart, and I never like actually lived with him. So I was pretty much raised as an only child, and I feel like sometimes just being raised as an only child, you only focus on yourself all the time. You're only, you know, you're thinking about yourself a lot, and that can be good and that can be bad. The good part is if you're focusing on yourself a lot, that means that if you're passionate about something, you're going to be, you know, pushing towards that thing, especially if you can afford it. The bad thing is sometimes focusing on yourself, you think that it's about you. And a lot of times, like I said, life is not about you. That's just how it is. Like, life is not about you. Everybody else is always focused on their own lives. And I think that, you know, you got to understand that you're an entertainer. You might make some music that appeal to people or not, and that is so out of your control. But all you can do is you wake up one day and you make a bunch of songs, and you learn. I mean, for me, I had to learn about music production. I think music production, if you're a musician, is super important. I think nowadays anything that has to do with computers, super important to learn. It's very important to like be knowledgeable in using a computer, in researching, in learning, I mean, you're always with a computer or a phone while you're learning something. Or sometimes if you're really lucky, you get to learn under someone, or you go to school for that. I personally never went to school for music production, but I understood that if I wanted to be really good at something, I'd have to just put the hours and put a bunch of hours into it, and just learn everything all about it. Like in music, coming up nowadays as an artist, you have to be a great music producer, or you have to know a great music producer. So it's super important to learn all about music production and how music works, and listening to a lot of music. You know, you hear that all the time. If you're a writer, you're probably going to be reading a lot. You're going to be reading this or that person's work, and figuring out how they write. You're going to have to learn about learn how certain styles are done. I don't know a whole lot about writing, although I am writing a book about my experience from driving from San Diego to Arizona to Phoenix with an Uber driver. It was a great experience, so I figured that it would be a good story to tell. And it's going to be called Driven to the Promised Land. I just, for any creative thing, I just tackle it the same way. Usually I just put a lot of myself into it, put a lot of input, do it a lot. And then after that, you edit, and you try to figure out something that makes sense for you, so that, if I'm listening to something, I feel like every element's in the proper place. And that's sometimes hard because life is imperfect, music is imperfect, art is imperfect. So I have an idea in my head, and then sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like, it happens so much where I write a song and then I'm singing it and it doesn't work with my voice, and or it's something that might have appealed in my head, but then because I'm singing the song, I might not like it as much. Like if I'm listening to it in my head, and it pops up like Chris Cornell singing it, and then I sing it, then it's just gonna sound a lot different because I don't sound like Chris Cornell. But I think it doesn't hurt to try. It really doesn't hurt to try. I would say these days that Rick Rubin book definitely helped me a lot, putting me back in a better frame of mind when it comes to being a creative. And I think the problem with being a creative, and it's the problem with just living life, is that you need to make a living, right? You need to make money. And my post here is about me, achieving a monetary amount and stuff. And that's a great thing, but it puts you in perspective that that's not always the most important part. That is the result of me making music that I personally really wanted to make, that I was super passionate about. And what happened is that I feel like I started this way, and then signing to a label, maybe I got an idea of maybe what I should be and what was popular at the time, on Spotify or just in that sphere. And then I kind of lost myself in that for many years. I would say for like 3-4 years, I kind of lost myself in in being a creative, and I kind of hated being a creative. So it's funny that feeling where you're making good money and you're still not happy, and you're like, man, I that's what I wanted to do since I was 12, and so now you're telling me that this is not like fun. This is not really what I was thinking of doing, or and then you're thinking, wait, like this is not making me happy. I need to I need to like reframe things, and I need to rethink whatever I'm doing, and I need to just like reflect on things, and reflect on like what's actually important. And so that Rick Rubin book, The Creative Act, came out. I think it was a perfect time for me, because I was kind of looking for myself. I was searching for something, and then that book came out, and it was kind of a revelation for me, and kind of reminded me why I started making music, and I wasn't maybe going to cater to the pressure of doing what maybe people have known from me. I think that's always a problem sometimes. Like, you start gaining a fan base, and then people have some expectations of what you're gonna sound like as an artist, and you get pigeonholed, right? You get pigeonholed into something. You're that guy, you're this guy. You're not that guy, and that as a creative can be very limiting. So you're thinking, oh well, I'm only gonna do that stuff because that's what people want. And then it's like, then you think, after a few years, I thought, man, this is not what I want. Like, what is this crap? What the hell am I releasing here? This is not really what I signed up for. And it's I'm also trying to remind you guys that, like, it's a job. It's a high paying job, and it's great. It comes with its perks. It comes with its drawbacks, and it's better than, I think, your everyday job. Like, I don't know, like, if you're a teacher, if you're a teacher, you don't make a whole lot of money, and I feel like that's a lot of work, and you have to put up with a lot of crap, sometimes from the students, sometimes from parents, and it's a more important job, I find, in general, than me being an entertainer. And yeah, it doesn't pay as much, and it's the same, be working in a factory. Hang on, I want to get my light again. Oh, okay, there. So yeah, it's like you gotta put stuff in perspective. And what I'm trying to say is, most musicians nowadays, like musicians like me, they're not making millions of dollars a year. When you think of like big artists, right? Like Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, Britney Spears, lately, I guess Billie Eilish, Post Malone, Kid Laroi, Weeknd, all these artists, they're making millions of dollars, but like those are artists you can count on your fingers. So unless you're in the top 200 or 300 worldwide, you're not going to be banking like millions of dollars a year. And even at what I do, sadly enough, there's not enough people, there's not enough artists that make the amount of money I make, which is really crappy. I wish more artists could make that kind of income. But that's just how it is in entertainment. You know, you got a lot of people at the top who make, 99% of the money, and then everybody else, the 99% at the bottom, make that 1%. And if you like it enough, you're going to be a ride or die person. I'm 100% that kind of person. If it happens eventually where I'm going to need to, like, I don't know, go and find a job somewhere, that's fine. But I'm still going to release music. I'm super passionate about music, and I'll always do it, Like, it's one of those things where you have to do it if even if you're not making a whole lot of money, would you do it if you do it for free? That's the question, right? I would do it if I made no money. I've done it for so many years where I made no money, where I was making like, $200 a month, sometimes producing a random person just so I can like buy a little bit of gear that, I liked, but then I didn't have enough money, so I'd sell the gear, and now then I regretted it. Nowadays, I can just keep all the stuff that I have. I can keep all the gear that I have, and if it gets used someday, then it's gonna get used, but like, it's not a big deal. I don't have to like go back and forth. I don't have to worry about like, paying rent, and like, that's a great feeling. I think getting older has just made me more aware, I guess, made me more aware of life and other people's lives and where I fit and all that, and the kind of life that I'm living and my family's living, and just being blessed that you can do that you get paid well, that you can pay your bills. Like, I'm not living we're not living a lavish lifestyle. We're not in a multi-million-dollar home here. It's pretty modest living. Like, we're still I would say upper middle class, but I mean, it's very modest, like, living what we're doing. And I mean, I'm not a show off kind of person. I think this is a problem sometimes, because as an entertainer, sometimes like that's social proof is so important that it's like you look a certain way or you're living a certain life, and that will attract people. And it's like a double-edged sword, because it's like, I don't want to live that life. I was never about that life. I want to live my life on my own terms, and it's not that important for me to have 30 cars in the driveway, or like, I'm not a car person. That's just what it is. I'm not a car person. I'm not a crypto bro. I'm not a investment type person. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, all I care about is I guess expressing myself, and maybe sometimes expressing what I see in society, and what I see in life, and what I see happening in the world. And I think, to me, that's a bit more important than, having a bunch of cars. And like, I just feel like what I'm trying to say is, if I had more money, yeah, maybe I'd probably have like a little bit of a bigger house. Now, is it like a deal breaker? No, like, we own this house. We're super happy. Like, we know so many people who, they're gonna pay rent for probably the rest of their lives, and that's shitty, I would say. But sometimes people have no choice, and that's fine. Like we understand that, we sympathize with that. But outside of that, I mean, what like what else do I want when it comes to material things? Not really a whole lot. Like, it's, you realize after a while that all the material stuff is just so secondary to having food on a table, to having your health taken care of, being able to go see a doctor, go to the dentist, or send your pets to the vet and stuff like that. That's a lot more important than making a bunch of money and spending it on stuff that really makes no sense. I just feel like I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm so happy with everything that I have, tools wise, entertainment wise. I just don't really need anything else, and all the people sometimes who have more don't impress me. And that's also part of being older, and just having that realization that all that stuff doesn't really make you happier. I think after a while, when you have your place figured out, right? When you're living somewhere and you're good and you're safe, when you have whatever tools you need to do your job or your creative endeavors or your hobbies, then after a while it's like, what do you need? Well, you probably need to have great relationships that will enrich you. I think that's more important, and that's something that can't really be bought. And whoever buys those, well, it's all fake. So it's not like all these people are gonna stick around if things go wrong, or if you go broke or something. Then you see all those people, they just they disappear in your life. And I mean, did you really need those people in the first place? Probably not. But yeah, where else did that money go? I mean, the money went also paying for having a manager. I think that's really important, having a lawyer. So there's percentages that will go to a manager and lawyer. So not everything will go directly to me, because I just need someone to help me coordinate some stuff, whether it's a tour, whether it's random grants, whether it's just if you need someone to talk to and to say, hey, where are we at, where, like, what should we do next, what kind of opportunities there is. Life, we live in a society where it's very, very built on capitalism and on making money and on making more. And we should always live in a society where we feel like we have enough. And most people don't have enough. And sometimes people who have enough want more. And that's where the problem lies. So I think it's important to think of not going overboard with all this crap. So what, my song is being used for something, or played in something, or not used or not played, or a song starts getting a bunch of traction, or a song gets no traction, it's like at the end of the day, what's your goal? Like, when is it enough? That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, when is it enough what you're making? For me, I think it's enough. I think it's more than enough. I think I can manage. For other people, sometimes they make a few $1,000,000, not in 11 years. They make a few $1,000,000 in 1 year, and it's not enough, and they blow all their money, or they buy drugs, they buy alcohol, they buy a lot of things, and then they realize, oh well, all that stuff didn't make me happy. Well, you're just trying to find something. You're trying to find something outside of yourself, when really you should be focusing on making sure that whatever's inside of yourself is important, is taken care of. And you should also make sure that the people who you're around with are also taken care of. That's always the most important. I mean, we see it all the time, okay, I give a good example here. You see Elon Musk, he has a lot of kids, and he has all the money in the world. And yes, financially he can provide for them, but what kind of parental guidance, what kind of parental how is he looking in those kids' lives? Like, what kind of relationship does he have with those kids? From what I've heard, those relationships are not very good. And all the money in the world is not going to fix that. After a while, I mean, money's only going to go so far. Like, you have kids, you have family, you have to like be in their lives, and logistically you cannot be in some kid's life if you have 13, 14 other kids to take care of. So in my opinion, that would be like a bad thing, because you have all the money in the world, and you still will have broken relationships, and outside of whatever crappy thing he's doing in the US government right now. That's a whole thing altogether, but just an example, that after a certain point, when you're making money, you have to like start being happy with what you're doing, and not always thinking that you need more and more and more, because that stuff will kill you, because it's never enough after a while. But yeah, I wanted to make this video after I passed $1 million on Distrokid, and I think I think it puts a lot of things in perspective. I am super proud. I am super proud of not just that amount, but like what it represents, right? Like, I basically passed 2 million Shazams. I think last week I passed 2 million Shazams, and now I just passed $1 million on Distrokid. And I'm not paid by Distrokid, by the way. I know I keep saying that name, but I'm not affiliated with them. I've just used them for so long, and I just upload on there. I find for me, it's the easiest thing to use. It's the easiest platform to get stuff on Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon and all those platforms. And like, where's my Grammy? I mean, I've seen people who have Grammys, who have one or two Grammys. Where's the money? Like this is the thing. It's like, what do you want more? Do you want the accolades, or do you want the financial security? Or, I mean, yeah, sure, if you want all of it. I mean, personally, I don't care about getting a Grammy. I don't care about any trophy or whatever. I think the only good thing for me as an artist to get a Grammy or to get a Juno or to get some kind of award is you just get some more eyeballs on you, and that's it. You just get more people like, oh, this person just got a Grammy. Oh, okay, maybe I'll go and check out their music. But I still feel like you can do that without getting an award. Like, I feel like that's just what Grammys and, well, for me, maybe for other people it's like everything. I'd rather have made that money. I would make that money anytime, instead of getting a Grammy and making half that amount. Like, I'd rather have the financial aspect figured out, not have a statue. I know a few people who have Grammys, and they're not doing anything really. They're not, sometimes they have to go back to work. That's the crappy part. That's the part that people don't realize and don't notice. Some people have had Grammys and then they go back to their regular jobs 9 to 5, and they're like, oh yeah, I won a Grammy in this, in this or that category, and then they go back to their accounting job, and to me that's not really a good thing. So I think like doing all this for me is being able to financially do it for as long as possible. And that's really all it is able to like being able to financially wake up in the morning and be like, what am I doing today? I mean, outside of taking care of family, I'm gonna go in my basement, I'm gonna go in my studio, I'm gonna be making some music or not making music. I'm gonna be staring at the ceiling all day, and maybe wait for something to spark my interest, not forcing it. It just gives me. It's like getting money is like buying time, basically. Like you're making an income and you're pretty much buying time to be a creative. So, like, for example, I know already I have an EP, and I have I think 6 or 7 songs on that EP. So technically, if I release one song every week, that gives me 6 to 7 weeks to maybe just sit back a little bit and be like, what's cool to me? Do I want to make music today? Maybe I'll do something else. Maybe I'll chill. Maybe I'll do some dishes, try to clean the house a little bit. Maybe I'll play some video games. Maybe I'll tour. I'll figure out stuff for touring, which is what I did recently. I'm just going on my small sushi tour, which is going to be a lot of fun. And that's another thing too. As a modern artist, you don't have to tour if you don't want to. Like, I think you just realize that you don't have to do a whole lot of things. Like, you don't have to pressure yourself. That's what I'm trying to say is when it's your job, you have that financial stability to just sit back and think about things a lot more. And that thinking part is what usually will help you, is what usually will ground you. Because sometimes if you're always like on the go, on the go, on the go, or if your time is limited, then you might not make the best art that you want to make, or you might not make the best product or painting or best book or whatever. Everything's going to feel rushed. And for what, really? If it's worth it, you're going to take the time to do it right. And like, you know, for me, I just take my time. I do things maybe a little bit slower than I used to. I feel like maybe years ago there was a bit more urgency. I was like, I have to do this and I have to do that and this and that. And now I'm like thinking, wait, I'm just burning myself out. Like after a while, I was burnt out. Like that's just how it is. And I feel like I've slowly just gotten out of this burnout and just realized, hey, no, this has to be fun. This has to feel like, you know, like something that you wake up every day and you really want to do. And let's talk about the social media aspect. So now you know that I've made $1 million on Distrokid, US dollars, and look at my Instagram profile. I think there's 9,000 followers on there. Look at my TikTok profile. I think there's maybe 5,000. Okay, sure. Look at my Spotify profile. That's what I built most of my career on. That Spotify profile. You know, initially I went from SoundCloud to Spotify, and I think it's great that people followed. Yeah, I think on Spotify I probably have 102,000 followers and growing. It keeps growing, and that's awesome, and this and that. But compared to other people, like I've seen on TikTok, some people have like millions or you know, 500,000 followers. But what do they have in their bank accounts? Are they doing this full time? Do they have to go and work somewhere else? Like, social media is make things very relative, right? You might look a certain way, but you're not really financially stable. You're not, you're still living paycheck to paycheck, or not even. I've seen it so much, like you see them on live streams and tons of people are following them. You see they have like 300, 400. They're not monetized. They cannot monetize that. They can't make enough money still to pay their rent. And I'm not saying it's their fault, by the way. I think like the system as a whole is like the main problem. But I would rather have that money than have 500,000 followers on TikTok or 500,000 on Instagram or wherever. Because the social media aspect doesn't what's the word? It doesn't mean, basically what I'm trying to say, sorry, I'm kind of fumbling my words here, but what I'm trying to say is the social media aspect will not determine how much money you're going to make. So if you have so many people on your socials, you might be making an income, or you might not. I've seen a lot of times where I post something on Instagram, I don't get a whole lot of likes. Or I'm posting a show or whatever, I'm not getting a bunch of likes, but then I go to the show and the place is packed. So what is important? You know what I mean? Like, is the social media aspect part, is it important for you? Maybe that's important for you. For me, it's not. for me, it's just an extra thing to show people like, hey, this is what I'm doing today. This is the kind of song I'm doing. Same thing with my Patreon, right? It would be amazing for people to sign up to my Patreon, but at the end of the day, I just want to put some music out there, and Patreon is the way to put it without placing it on Spotify right away. So if anyone's curious or interested, then I can post it on my Patreon, and then I can share that elsewhere. And so it's almost like I use it like as my storage place, like outside of Dropbox. So I put it as my storage place. I put the video. There's one video I did like that. Just put my Patreon video. I put it on TikTok. Next thing you know, it starts going viral. I didn't expect any of that. I was just trying to just put myself out there. I feel like I don't rely on my looks, right? Like, you look at me, I don't rely on that. I think looks wise, I look pretty average. Right now, I don't really have a gimmick or any, I guess a hat, I don't know, having glasses, but I need the glasses to see. So I don't know how much of a gimmick it is. I know that out there, there's better looking people. I know out there's people with gimmicks who, some of them have made it huge and some of them have made it nowhere. So I know that there's cooler looking people out there. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on getting really good at making music productions, right? Getting some really great music productions. That means knowing how to produce, knowing how to mix, knowing how to do the mastering so that it's at a certain loudness where it's going to feel like maybe a major label release, even though it's not. And you see that a lot on Steam with indie video game developers. They do that a lot. A lot of developers, sometimes they're just one or two person, and their video games just, explode out of nowhere. And now, next thing you know, they're as desirable as those AAA games where there's millions of dollars invested, millions of dollars in promotion. And like, I'm such a do-it-yourself type of person, and I have a do-it-yourself type of ethos, and I also think that's one of the reasons why people listen to my music, because they know that, like, I'm the guy. I'm not hiring like 30 people in the back doing the music and writing the songs and this and that. I'm usually the guy who's writing the song. I'm usually the guy who's producing the music, recording it, like I'm recording here with my microphone that you're not seeing because it's outside of frame. A lot of times I'm playing the guitar or getting a few people to help me with guitar parts. Like, basically at the end of the day, I'm the guy, I'm the label. And I know that appeals to a lot of people, and I can't thank people enough for that. I just try to focus on making the songs that I think I'm feeling the most at the moment. And most songs go nowhere. And then you have these little few that eventually go somewhere. And those are the ones where financially you're going to be making money out of for years. But like, I'm not coming downstairs in my studio being like, hey, I'm going to make a hit song today and this and that. That's not important to me. What's important is that I'm able to express myself, that I'm able to put myself out there, to maybe put the best version of myself, and let other people judge if they like it, if they think it's good, if this or that, if they think my face is funny looking, or if they think I'm attractive or ugly or whatever, or if it's important for people or not. I listen to a lot of artists. Sometimes I know what they look like, sometimes I don't. I mean, for me, I don't really care what people look like. I if something is really good, I will listen to it. I don't need a gimmick or whatever. But I also understand I'm a little bit older. I'm not like a teenager. Maybe teenagers a little bit more impressionable. I have a teenager, so I totally understand that. And that's fine. Anyway, big rant, but it's almost at an hour now, or maybe a bit less. But all I will say is, I think it's an incredible accomplishment. And is it making me feel different about things? No. Has it changed my life? Yes, it's totally changed my life. And it brought me in many directions that I never thought would be possible. Is it gonna change the way I make music in the future? No, I don't think so. I'm not planning on, because I see a dollar amount or I see like an amount every month that I'm making, that I need to make a dance like hit record or whatever. I listen to so much different music and I will get influenced by that. So, and as you've seen on like my last EP, which was mostly more rock, I feel like I'm just gonna ride my own train and see where it leads. And sometimes it's gonna feel uncomfortable. I mean, I have some rap EP that it's all pretty much finished. I don't know if any of my fans are gonna enjoy that. I don't know if they're into rap music. I mean, at the end of the day, if they don't like it, they can listen to other songs of mine or another artist. I think what's important to know is you can't just release stuff worrying if people are going to be offended, or if people are going to like it, or if people are going to do this or that. And I'm just so not into the branding aspect where you have to like be on brand, right? There's some artists, like for example, I don't know, like dance artists, even Tiesto. I was going to say Tiesto, but like I feel like Tiesto even has incorporated a lot more rap stuff, has incorporated rap artists. I think stuff is so fluid in the music industry that you just have to do something, and a lot of times you're going to strike out. And sometimes, very rarely, you're going to hit something out of the ballpark. And who knows, that might be the thing that people, remember you most for. But you cannot let those strikeouts affect the way that you're making your art. I think that's never a good thing. So I'm telling you guys, for the future, yes, I will be releasing dance music and pop music and chill music and all that stuff. I love all that kind of music. I have a lot of songs in the works that are that. But I also will release more rock inspired music. I grew up on rock music. When I was younger, I wanted to make it in an alternative metal band. So if you hear random alternative metal songs and it's not your thing, just shut it off, listen to something else, that's fine. I totally respect that. Not everything's going to be everyone's cup of tea. If you don't want to listen to upcoming rap songs that I release, that's fine too. I think like I'm always going to do things to the beat of my own drum. And that is probably the most valuable thing I could say as a creative, is always do that. Always make music or do paintings or make video games or write to the beat of your own drum. Not so much what's maybe hot out there, what's happening, this or that. Because like you're just going to be truer to yourself, and people can feel that. People feel that kind of stuff. People can feel when it's true or when it's diluted. People can totally feel that. And my ethos is, when it comes to art, always go to the beat of your own drum. That's the most important, and I think that's one of the reasons why I passed $1 million from my own masters. I think that's a huge reason, to be fair. Anyway, on that note, it's like a 60-minute video. I'll make sure I edit everything. But yeah, I'm super pumped I'm super pumped about this accomplishment. There's going to be more accomplishments. I try to post as much as possible these days. And yeah, I will either see you on tour, or I'm hoping you're gonna listen to my newer music, or check out my older music, or I'm just know that you've made like a huge impact in my life by supporting me like this. Not just supporting me as a person, but literally supporting me with your dollars. Like, thank you so much. Like, honestly, I can't say, I will never say anything bad about you guys, because you guys are literally the best. Anyway, on that note, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.